Okay, so today I'm going to tell you a story about the floating coffins of Barbados that you might have already heard this story before. It's called the Chase Vault, and that is the Chase from J.P. Morgan and Chase. This is the family that I'm referring to. On 5 occasions from 1816 to 1820, every time the Chase Vault was opened for a burial, the coffins were severely thrown about, and every time the vault was sealed tight, and the coffins were thrown about again upon the next burial. The Chase Vault is located in the cemetery of what is called Christchurch, Barbados. The vault was opened in 1808, twice in 1812, in 1816, and in 1819, and every single time the coffins were in such disarray, it led locals to believe a truly malevolent force was at work. The first published version of the story was in 1833 in James Edward Alexander's Transatlantic Sketches. Mrs. Goddard was buried in 1807, then in 1808 a 2-year-old named Anna Maria Chase, then in 1812 her older sister Dorcas Chase, aged 12. The vault was open a second time in 1812 for Thomas Chase, their father, and as the vault was open, the caskets were found strewn about. Each time the vault was cleaned up and the caskets were rearranged and sealed once again, and each time the caskets were found strewn about. And they were actually piled on top of each other in certain parts of the vault, and then they were again found thrown about. The vault was then opened again for the burial of yet another infant, and the coffin, like clockwork, were once again strewn about. All the coffins. The tradition continued once again into the years of 1816 and 1819. And I just want to make a point to say that I have a bunch of footnotes here for a reason, because I wanted to specifically get all the years correct and all the facts correct. The door was massive and required 6 or 7 men to even move it, and each time the door was cemented by masons. The floor had sand strewn on it, yet no footprints were ever visible. Yeah, I doubt there was any fingerprints back then either. The story became so notorious that the governor of Barbados, Lord Combermere, came in 1819 for one of the burials. Upon opening the vault, he found the same results. The coffins were thrown about. Literally, some coffins that once had their heads up now had their heads down. Different versions of the story have surfaced with different theories, but what everyone can agree on is they could not find any earthly explanation, not present day and not back then. This bizarre occurrence attracted a lot of theories, such as Sir Arthur Conan Doyle attributing the strange events to animal magnetism. Now, some believe the story is not true and simply an allegory to Freemasonry, as the founder of Freemasonry is supposedly buried in Barbados. 2 of the men mentioned in the Chase Vault story are in fact Freemasons. Supposedly around the world there are numerous stories of floating coffins, which lead many to believe that this story is nothing more than a cryptic legend. Now there's more. It's important to note some family history of the Chase family. The Chase Vault in some accounts was used until another could be made. Thomasina Goddard was not part of the Chase family. In some accounts, they say the father, Thomas Chase, allowed Thomasina to be buried there, to remain there, or that he purchased the vault with her body already in it. That's telling right there. Dorcas Chase was severely depressed by her father, Thomas Chase, who was also very abusive. He treated his slaves very cruelly. Some people believe she starved herself to death, which have led some to believe that the slaves could have played tricks on Thomas, as he killed himself supposedly, and so did his daughter Dorcas. After a while, people became disturbed at these occurrences. The tomb was sealed thoroughly than ever before after Thomas Chase's death. In 1816, the vault was opened to bury a young boy named Charles Brewster Ames. Yet once again, the coffins were in extreme disarray, and at one time Thomasina Goddard's skeleton was actually hanging out. It is said Thomas Chase committed suicide, and that might be the reason why there is so much unrest. The irony is the tombs nearby were never disturbed. So when the governor got involved, they had sand placed on the floor of the vault, cemented the door shut, and put his official seal on it. But when the tomb was reopened in 1820, the coffins were all thrown about again, but the sand was completely untouched. It was finally decided that the coffins would be moved out of the vault to another place. The Chase Vault then remained empty and open, and it still stands there to this day, empty and open. There's another story very similar to this one from none other than the country of Estonia, which many say contains so many cryptic Masonic symbols and stories that clearly this story had to be some form of secret Masonic communication. Some theories speak of heavy rains that could have flooded the vault, considering heavy rainfall is prevalent in Barbados. However, this could never explain away why the coffin's floor was dry and why the sand was completely untouched. The Chase Vault remains open today and tourists can visit it. It's actually a pretty plain structure and kind of a tight space, not exactly what one might expect from all of these horror stories. I've actually seen it before, not personally, but I've seen it before in some videos, and it's not what you would expect from a family that you would think is well-to-do and had this big, massive vault. Now, there is only so much information one can dig up, but I would sincerely like to know more about, in particular, Thomasina Goddard, who was first buried in that vault. I'd also like to know more about the life and suspicious circumstances of the entire Chase family and how they died, including the very cruel Thomas Chase and what made him do those things. So you tell me. What do you think? Do you think this was a supernatural event? Do you think the disturbed dead were calling out to anyone that would listen? Do you think somebody was murdered and they were calling out? Do you think it was an elaborate hoax to draw attention away from something that someone wished to remain a secret? Or do you think it was a form of Masonic communication? Maybe a way for the slaves to get revenge on a cruel master like Thomas Chase, and maybe at the same time took revenge on his family. Maybe there was something more to Thomasina Goddard. Let me know in the comments. Please like my video and subscribe to my channel. I promise to have more videos on the unusual and unexplained next time. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel Remote-Backroad-Jungles with a dash in between each word, and my link is www.youtube.com/@hiddenoasis-secret-pathfinder. And until next time, please let me know in the comments what you think, and let me know, has anybody ever visited here? What do you think? What are the theories? What have you heard? What are the facts that you've heard? Is there anything different? Anybody who knows anything about Masonry or the story, please let me know, or the JP Morgan, the Chase family, but anything to do also with JP Morgan, because don't forget, JP Morgan and Chase teamed up, and there's always little bits and pieces of things that kind of trail into your life from your history and then where you worked, etc. And there's always little bits and pieces we can find on the internet, perhaps, that would help us piece together this story. I'm so glad you joined me. Thank you for joining me. I sincerely enjoy all of my subscribers, and I really hope that you like this story, and there's many more to come, and I hope you will stay with me, and I hope you'll subscribe to my channel and see my videos next time. Thank you so much, and until next time.